Orlando Saez is the founder and CEO of Aker, a crop monitoring technology and service company that uses high-powered drones to assist farmers. And when he first told me about this, I just said, this is the coolest thing in the world, honestly, Orlando. He has led several early-stage companies with a combined exit value of over $50 million, including Boingo Wireless, the largest Wi-Fi hotspot in the world. He previously was the CEO of Cityscan and was also the director of the Office of Entrepreneurship, Innovation, and Technology for the state of Illinois. But his most important credential is he's a board member of the Chicago Innovation Awards. Orlando?
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. How's everybody doing? And good night. We're here prepared to do things that I love and that I'm sure you love. Talk about innovation and talk about food. So let me explain the rules of engagement for tonight. What I'm going to do is actually I'm going to pose an opening question to each one of the fantastic panelists that we have tonight. And that question is, from your unique position in the industry, what food trends do you think is the most important that the audience needs to know about today? I will start answering that question, and then we'll go from there. In the bio and the roster shows that I'm a farmer. I'm an accidental farmer. I bought into a farm as I started to do investing in farms about 5 years ago. More recently, I bought into a farm in Winnebago, Minnesota. It's about 6,000 acres we farm south of Minneapolis, about 2 hours. And I developed a connection, or like many people say, a relationship with food in a very, very intimate way. And we're talking corn and soybeans, the typical. So the future of farming, I'm going to talk about more from the perspective of the producer. The production side of it in terms of what are the trends, I can tell you what the future of agriculture looks like. Growers want to analyze what kind of seed goes with what kind of soil. That's very important to maximize production and intake and how the minerals are absorbed. Farm equipment in the future will drive itself. And the equipment itself will know what to plant, where to plant, and it will know what to spray and where to spray what amounts. That is the future of agriculture. And here's the interesting thing, guys. The future of agriculture started 10 years ago because what I just said has been in place for 10 years now. So everything that you see today in terms of Tesla being self-driving car has been the future for 10 years in auto steer in the agricultural industry. The future right now is actually integrating data technologies and understanding how to deal with some very simple equation, which is maximize the outputs, minimize the inputs. Most growers are very, very sustainable by definition of their own profitability. And so I'll leave you with that in terms of the future of agriculture. We'll talk more about it. I would like to introduce the next panel here that I will ask the same question. Come in, talk for 2 minutes, and then we'll actually keep working through this. So let me introduce Noelle O'Mara, again, VP of New Business Development, New Business Models at Tyson. She brings a very interesting perspective with Tyson, obviously being a large company and wanting to hear everything that has to do with the trends from a large enterprise. Noelle, come in. Same question to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Orlando. Thank you, everyone, for coming. So exciting. I feel like we're welcoming you into our home for food and drinks and hopefully some good conversation. And very humbled to be part of a great panel of folks tonight and inspired by all the work that they're doing. So we already heard from Jen and David a lot about some of the macro trends that are out there today. And in particular, for me, one of the trends that was highlighted a little bit in the film is all about anticipatory eating and this notion that consumers are involved with food in ways that are really redefining the landscape today. That being said, as we look at some of the insights and some of the other trends and how they come together, it provides really interesting opportunities for us. And so as we look at the consumer's desire to actually participate in food, and it's not a spectator sport. They actually want to get involved, and they want to shape the types of foods that they're inviting into their lives. That combined with the fact that they also want experiences. They don't want it to be transactional. They want to have something that they can relate to. And Airbnb is a great example of that has shaped over the past couple of years of having an experience of a local versus more of a tourist and stay in a hotel. So you have that consumer desire, but then on the other side, you have this idea of wanting things immediately and convenience playing a much higher role in consumers' lives than I feel like we've seen ever before. And it provides this really interesting tension of consumers wanting such significant engagement, but also this risk of really transactional experiences, and how do we think about those two things coming together? That tension, for me, tension breeds opportunity. And so that's something that I'm heavily focused on in the work that I do here, and something that really excites me.
Fantastic. Thank you. So you have your first pick that shares.
Perfect.
Yes. Any
that's
chair you
close.
want? Yes.
There you go.
We have amongst us a foods craftsman. I love to watch Netflix, and I got to tell you, food porn and chef table is amazing. It's out of control. We have one of them among us, Paul Larson, executive chef at Blue Plate. We cannot miss the perspective of the experience of the food in the mouth. So please, Paul. Grab a mic.
At least I didn't have to go first. So if I had to pick one food trend that's happening right now in the U.S., I would say it is zero waste cooking or zero waste kitchens. We are a green certified catering company. We were one of the first in Chicago. We've been composting for years. We've been recycling for years. So I would walk around to all my catering friends and go, we're green. You know, we're cool, we're green. No. The new thing now is what's called upcycling. So it's taking that compost, that food waste, and turning it into something usable. So some silly examples, carrot peelings. We used to take our carrot peelings, throw them in the trash, our parsnip peelings, throw them in the trash, throw them in the stock pot. Now we take them and we deep fry them, for example, and use them as a garnish. Same thing with parsnips. We take our onion peels and we caramelize them and turn them into an ash, like a vegetable ash, and roll goat cheese in it and do that. So it's really about not throwing everything in the trash anymore, or saying we're green, we compost. It's actually utilizing that waste. So we've about cut our compost waste down by about 30% so far. So that's a new practice for us.
Excellent. Thank you, Paul. Second seat, whichever you prefer. So not to be outdone, obviously, the kitchen, professional kitchen, very important, but we all have this. We all have kitchens, right, in our houses. And what's important is a kitchen in your house is the perfect lab for innovation. And we have a classic example of here, right here, in the form of a very tall Linda Mallers. She's the founder of Farm Logics, and she's a food technologist that I just met, or I know her for a while, but I understand better how she actually started the business right out of her kitchen. So please.
So it can be done, because I really did start this at my kitchen table, and my very first customer, Kim Minestra at Evanston Township High School, got me out of the kitchen, and my biggest customer, Leslie Fowler from Chicago Public Schools, is here. Thank you to both of you. Basically, we see the biggest trend obviously being sustainability. We all know it. We've all been doing it. We've all been buying it as individuals. We have choices when we go to the store of what we buy. We're in the space of allowing large institutions to have the same sort of choice. What most of you don't know is, like, locally sourced food. What is the definition of local? We're asked that all the time. There's no such thing. We work in 17 states. Rhode Island's definition of local is the state of Rhode Island. New York's is the state of New York. We have customers that say any state that touches ours. We have people that say 300 miles, 50 miles. So really what we do is the individuality and the optionality and the voice that we as consumers have at the store, we provide to the large institutional buyer. Now you can imagine if you're Aramark or you're Cisco or you're Chicago Public Schools, just how freaked out you are having thousands of customers with thousands of definitions. And so we're a technology platform that allows for their customer optionality. So we basically are a giant search engine of what's possible in the sustainable universe. Our customers, including Leslie and Kim, can say, this is my definition of local, this is my definition of antibiotic use in poultry, this is my definition of, eggs, etc. And then it basically, we deliver a list of what is available and available by their own distributor. And then basically, if they aren't able to source that product, they will come to us and say, hey, wait a second. We really want to find some greens from a greenhouse within 50 miles, and then we have our boots on the ground team that actually help do that. So basically, we enable the large players in our industry to deliver on their customer demand, and then we turn around and take all the data and deliver that data back to our customers and our customers' customers, and then provide a whole global set of data back to folks like the USDA so that we all have a voice in this movement.
Thank you. That is outstanding, Linda. So I heard the theme of sustainability, food quality, safety. That's mic drop. We're done. We can go now. Thank you. Anything that relates to food technologies, I'm delighted that Linda is here and that we have a great panel. Again, another great panel presenter, Senior VP of Strategy and Insight at, hope I get this name right, Profitero, Keith Anderson. Keith has been at the nexus of retail, commerce, and technology. Keith, welcome.
Well, it's good to be with everybody tonight, and I don't know that the trend I'll talk about is necessarily the most important, but it's the one I'm most familiar with. And I love the foresight work that Tyson has done, and they're pointing out all of these shifts in every part of the value chain of the food industry. I think the area that I want to draw your attention to is in the way that shoppers can discover, consider, select, buy, and then ultimately receive what they plan to eat. And so, if you think about the choice that's available to consumers today, it's just incredible. And the cost of entry for a new manufacturer or a new brand or a new distribution model, given the cost curve in the technology landscape is just profound. And what it's meant is that as you've seen all of these consumers start to adopt preferences, whether it's natural, organic, gluten-free, paleo, you name it, they can now suddenly discover, select, and buy those things in ways that they've never been able to historically. So across the spectrum of cooking from scratch with ingredients on their own, I just heard the phrase, when you go to the store, you have choice. Suddenly you have the choice not to go to the store. And so whether it's a meal kit that's delivered to your home, or whether you order something online and pick it up at a store, or you are in the aisle researching, the key trend I think that I want to share is consumers have incredible choice today.
Excellent. Thank you, Keith. Some interesting note, I deal with a lot of developers, one in particular in the West Coast. We're doing a Google Hangout late at night, one of those sleepless nights. And Tom is his name, very interesting guy. And so we're in the middle of the night, and he's like, oh, somebody's at the door. Goes at the door, he's like, so what's going on? No, I'm getting my coffee. It's like, wait a minute, you order, delivery, your coffee? It's like, yeah, we do it every day. It's like, you got to be kidding me. This is like, how much does this coffee cost? It doesn't matter. So Keith, your perspective is taken by the new generation to an extreme, so I'm very curious to learn more about that. Last in this panel of awesome guys, Matros is the founder of Protein Bar. Matt is a serial entrepreneur with several successful companies. You might heard, some of them. Protein Bar, he was actually a Chicago Innovation Award winner in 2013. Matt, are you around? Okay, come in. Good to see you, man. Yeah, excellent.
Hi, guys. Just want to start by, first, I'm tremendously flattered. Kind of want to speak on behalf of the panelists. Thank you for taking the time to come here and speak. Hopefully you guys will get a little nugget or two or 1,000 from what we have to say. And kudos to CIA. Gosh, what Luke and the team over there does with all of their events just seems to get better and better every event they have. So thank you guys for coming. Trend, when I hear that word, to me, it's a dynamic word. It's not a static word. It doesn't mean what's happening right now. It means lots of different things on the spectrum. So I'll share two trends that I kind of am percolating around. One is sort of obvious nowadays. It's the trend of transparency. Everyone wants to know where their food is coming from, where it's being grown, how it's being grown, what's in it, what are the sources, what's in your food. So your fish ate what before it's now being ate by you? But that's kind of an obvious one. When I started Protein Bar back in May of 2009, we had our menu boards that had our ingredients, and it had our calories and fat grams and protein grams on the menu, and everyone was gave us such kudos for that. And I was like, wow, I just thought that was sort of like the greens fees. I thought that was what we had to do to get people to choose your product. And nowadays, we were talking about, Linda was mentioning all the different vernaculars. Non-GMO, what does it mean? What does local mean? So transparency is that type of thing and that type of word that people are going to be sort of earning or yearning for every day as they seek their food items. And I sort of think that it leads to this sort of macro trend of authenticity and genuineness. So that's the first one. And then kind of the pie in the sky trend that I'm sort of thinking about and percolating on that I would love the really rich companies like Tyson to start focusing on is nanotechnology. You're probably wondering, how does nanotechnology relate to food? Nanotechnology is happening in microchips. Well, how is it happening in chicken? Well, I actually think with the power of nanotechnology and the power of nanonutrients, we can pretty soon, and maybe it's not next year, maybe it's not in 10 years, maybe it's not even in 20 years, but pretty soon you'll be able to eat that little cube that has all the nutrition you'll need for a day. So I'm sure companies like Tyson are focusing on that right now, and if they're not, they should be. But those are the type of things that I'm thinking about.